So I've got this crank puller adapter that I needed, which is this. So the next step is to remove the crank. Now that we've got the wheel cassette done, and we've fed through the rear derailleur cable, and now it's going to be removing this crank and putting the front chainring on. So let's go ahead and do that. First step is take this Allen key off. Yeah, that's already loosened up. So this crank puller should go in here, and there is another thread here, so I think that goes in. You screw that in and you screw this in at the same time, I believe. Maybe not. Let's remove this all together. There we go. Thread that in. And let me get a spanner. I need to put this bike on the floor for this. As you can see, things were not looking good at this stage, and the crank puller didn't seem to be doing its job. If all else fails, whack it with a hammer, and that's what I tried to do. Well, that's not going to plan. Right, so I've stripped all the threads in this crank now, so that thread puller didn't do the trick, unfortunately. So what I had to revert to is find this tool, which is called a bearing puller. this is what I've got to use, and I'm going to attempt to pull out the crank using this instead. Now that the threads are all pretty much stripped, which is designed for the thread puller, we've got to use this. So I'm going to give this a go and see if I can take out the crank. So got this off Amazon. Took a couple of days to come through, and let's see if this works. So I need to put one here, one here, one here. Okay, that looks like it's going to be like this, and then I need to insert this in the middle. And these are 75mm gear bearing pullers or something that I found. Yeah, at the max now. Still doesn't want to come out. Okay, let's give it a go from this side. See, it's started to strip something off, which is not good.
At this point it wasn't looking good, and this crank looked like it was permanently fused with the bike and was losing hope.
I need the crank to come off, not the wheel. It's trying to pull this, and it's not giving way. There's not much left on that thread.
If all else fails, hit it with a hammer.
It's welded on. You know what? How about we give this a go? Give it some shocks.
Safe to say that didn't work either.
Right, this is probably super dangerous, but I'm going desperado mode. I've purchased this on the loose chainring to get me a bit more purchase and a bit more twist and go on this side. Now, this is going to demolish this chainring, but let's just see what happens, because I'm just trying to get this bloody crank off and it's ridiculous. So if this cracks, it's cracked, and at least I can just remove the chainring without the crank coming off, if that's the case. But at the moment I need all the help I can get getting this off. So, see what happens. I better stand back because this is probably going to fly off. Okay, so that didn't work. This has come off. What a shame. What a shame. We're getting somewhere, and then this turned up not to do it. Okay.
At this point, I was thinking it's time to take it to the professionals now. But I soldiered on.
Now I'm going to attempt. So I've tried to use the gear puller, but it didn't work. And now the bearing remover. I think I broke the other one, or it stopped working, so I have to get another one. So I purchased another gear remover, but this time went on the forums, and I believe there is an option. So this is another attempt of getting this off. Failed attempts, multiple failed attempts. So now I resorted to bringing the big guns in. So this is a butane gas, and I'm going to try and heat this up and see if this will expand this a bit. So let's just try that. I'm just going to heat this up a bit. This is supposedly supposed to expand the crank a bit. Some melting. Anyway, that was just a bit of heat there, and now I'm going to attempt to use this again. Hopefully it's just give it a bit of it was smoking, so probably the rubber there was about to melt, so let's give this a go.
This crank still wasn't budging, so I resorted to some more violence.
Okay, so I happen to put the bike on the ground now, and I've got the gear bearing remover in this place, and now I'm having to stand on the actual pedals because there's so much torque now. Let's see if this comes off. Oh, what happened? That is still stuck.
I thought I had it there. Clearly not.
It didn't like that. Well, I reheated it. I've left it with this gear pulley on, and I'm just going to leave it now. Leave it now for a bit and just see if it just comes off by itself. But yeah, now I'm just going to go and cut the grass and see what happens. But yeah, we tried our best. If this doesn't happen, I think the last situation the last thing we could think about doing is cutting this off and go to professional now, because Basically I've tried the gear puller that stripped all the threads. Now I'm using this bearing clamp, and I broke one bearing clamp. Bought another bearing clamp and also got used butane gas to burn, to heat up the crank, see if it expands. And I use another bearing puller. So, you know, if this doesn't come off, to be honest, it's definitely off to getting this professionally looked at. But yeah, it's getting a bit ridiculous now. But hey, Shimano, they make pretty bulletproof cranks, I'll tell you that. So, with a lot of to-in and fro-in, re-putting the clamp, redoing the butane, heating up the crank, it wasn't coming off. I left it overnight with the clamp on, thinking maybe it will contract and then expand during the heat, because I used the heat from the torch. No deal. The last thing I did was add an additional length to this clamp. So I added this. It's kind of ruined the actual nut. It was an 8mm that I added onto here. And hey presto, the crank came off. It came off. It took a lot of work, but by modifying this and adding an additional piece, it's ruined this 8mm nut torque wrench adapter. But I don't know if it's because of the material that it is, it managed to just push through and release the crank. Now I don't know if this crank is still usable yet, we'll still have to see. But now at least I can take off this, which is the granny chainring, and I can put on the new chainring. So that's what I'm going to do.
Thanks for watching this first part. In the second part, I will show the rest of the conversion to a 1x. Thanks again.